I have this field notes notebook, and I've been trying to write one mind map every day. And so today's episode will be about Culinary Class Wars Season 2. I think the finale is tomorrow as I'm recording this, so I don't know what happens at the very end. But yeah, so this is Culinary Class Wars, and then I have some book notes from this book, Everything in Its Place. But I know it more as this book, Work Clean. It has two titles. I think the title was changed to Work Clean. So, but it's by Dan Charnas. Great one about, yeah, he explains principles from working in a restaurant or in restaurants and shows how they can apply outside of the kitchen. So yeah, I'm deep into Culinary Class Wars. So thought I'd share some connections between the show, just like watching that, and then Work Clean. So yes, I wrote here five of the principles here. So number one is this idea that planning is prime. And one of the most memorable visuals in the season is this printed out timetable that Culinary Monster and Sun Jung-won have. 5-minute increments, every task required. Then they just are able to execute, execute, execute. As a bonus, the editors show this shot of a Culinary Monster, cutting painter's tape to tape this to the kitchen bench. So that was very satisfying to see. And the quote from Work Clean is, being scrupulous with time means more than creating a list. Making a list is only half the job of planning. To complete the other half, the chef must square that list with the clock. So the experience allows you to make a good list of tasks, and then even more experience, like these are top chefs. So with additional experience, they're able to create good time estimates for each task. And the columns that they have, so there's 4 columns here. One of them is the time remaining, I think it is, and then the task, and then the third column is duration of the task, and then the fourth one is equipment that's used, so that they always know what equipment they need to use, and that there's no, like, it will allow them to see, like, oh, we need this equipment, but it's being used in this previous step, so that's not going to work. And they can just arrange the tasks properly. And yeah, I'm trying to relate this to like video creators for the creativity side of things. And actually, I was doing this mind map on Adrian Per from this podcast ourselves, and he talks about how important time boxing is for him, because if he doesn't do that, he'll just be a workaholic, and then he'll never really rest, and like making videos will sort of like take over his life. And also in, of course, like the tasks themselves of creating a video, time boxing is important, just understanding like how long each step is going to take, and that's what has helped him to be consistent. So number 2 is this idea of, I printed these out so they're a little out of order, but number 2 is slowing down to speed up. Even though they have this like table, this plan, it does sort of fall apart a little bit. They have everything dialed in, but the drama in the show comes when things don't go according to plan. They're supposed to roll something up, but this pastry cracks when they start rolling it. So that's an issue. And the quote from Work Clean is, chefs don't run. Chefs have a paradoxical relationship to time. Every day they raise the clock, but at other times they seem to be able to stop it. Time is rigid until it's malleable, finite until it's infinite. Chefs know some moments count more than others. And in this case, it's like, okay, the next few minutes for how they handle this are more important than, just say, like the first few minutes where they're starting the tasks off. And they're figuring out what to do. They choose to steam it, it rolls, they survive. And for, again, like video creation, myself, I'm trying to find a format that will work where I don't need to have all of my like equipment in the garage to make a video. I can try to do some of it on the go, and if I have my camera and a notebook, that's hopefully good enough in a pinch. And I was actually able to like write bunch of this and think through a lot of this in the car. So hopefully like that's working and something I can continue to do. And hopefully this format works. I do like, I think it was like kind of one of the more fun videos to make. So anyway, number 3, call and call back. The quote from Work Clean is, you just cut the nonsense out because there's no time to tiptoe. Running an efficient and cost-effective kitchen is just a monumental task. Being polite can be a waste of time. It actually gets in the way of your getting work done. And this is actually like not exactly the right picture, but there's a time where it's one of the challenges, like team challenges. Culinary Monster is the leader of the team, and he runs by the clock, as you can see like here. But he runs by the clock minute by minute. And there's a point where he asks one of the teammates how much longer something will take, and the teammate responds that the task is almost finished. Culinary Monster says that answer isn't good. Not that almost isn't good enough, just that the word almost can mean anything. So the teammate corrects and says, okay, it's going to be done in 3 minutes. And that is more like, that's something that they can plan around. So yeah, while I don't have a team for making videos, crisp communication is, of course, something important in trying to convey an idea or share a lesson. So yeah, call and call back is a principle all about like crisp communication. So I'm trying to write scripts more instead of just blabbing through a video off the cuff. So I guess that's a good cue to move to the next subject. So the next principle is inspect and correct. Sometimes when watching, I'll think, oh, like what drama if like it gets to the judge and they just hate it, like it's just awful. And it almost never happens. And I remember like, oh, why? The chefs at that level have good taste, and they taste the food over and over. They taste the elements of the food over and over. There's test dishes that are made and tasted, and finished dishes are tasted as well. They'll do the interviews, and the white spoon after like a challenge is done, and the white spoons will say they aren't worried about being eliminated because they knew they did what they could. They were satisfied with their effort, and the rest is out of their hands. So yeah, like one of the scenes here, one of the chefs is like really confident about making the sauce. He has so much experience. And in that case, it's just like correct. It appears like he just makes it right on the first shot, and one of the chefs tastes it, says it's awesome. And they're good to go. So the quote from Work Clean is, inspect and correct is how the chefs approach perfection. Approach being the operative word in that phrase because perfection is never achieved. At most, what the great chef can accomplish is meticulous execution. Listening to a bunch of interviews of video creators, a common story will be, I tried so hard on one video and it got no views. Then I did a talking head in 20 minutes and that one went viral. So you can't really control the reaction. So it's better to just inspect your own effort and find satisfaction in the process. Did you try to stretch yourself a little with the next video? Are you satisfied with that? Or did you publish something that you knew was bad and maybe that isn't satisfying for you? You can't exactly like control the audience or the algorithm. And then last one is total utilization. So I forget what his name is, but the barbecue guy, he has this go-to trick that he uses a few times. I say go-to, but I think he only did it. He did it at least twice, maybe 3 times. And what he'll do is pressure cook meat to cut the time while combining it with grilling for flavor. So here you see like he has the pressure cooker. He's then able to use meats other people might not use because they're usually under a time crunch of like an hour or like 2 hours. I think it's like between 1 and 3 hours. But yeah, there are some cuts of meat that you would expect it to take like 4 to 6 hours maybe. But he pressure cooks it, then grills it, and it tastes great. And the quote here from Work Clean that I thought was relevant is, time is the beating heart that compels both human hunger and the microbes that spoil food. Conserving time preserves the customer and the food. Conserving time also liberates human energy, both mental and physical. Being able to work in compressed time gives us more of the one thing we cannot manufacture. For making videos, I mostly have to do this on a laptop. it's maybe not as tempting to scroll endlessly through social media. Instead, the danger becomes all my previously opened tabs. Time is the most precious resource, so I'm finding different ways to avoid wasting so much of it. Not to say I won't rest and recharge, but doom scrolling as a form of rest is mediocre at best. After all, I'd rather watch reality TV. So thanks for checking this out. And go Brewmaster.